The chainsaw is one of the most unique weapons in Helldivers 2. It's very fun to use as well. I still believe it falls short of being a good weapon, unfortunately, and I'll explain why, while also going over just what it can kill, how is it killing them, the whole 9 yards for essentially all the factions, and even a bunch of random objectives and items on said factions, because it has more utility aside from just killing enemies, such as breaking stuff. Now the chainsaw scales from medium pin to anti-tank, doing so fairly quickly in roughly a second or so, and the damage output is 300 per second, I believe. You do have a slight stun, so enemies that only require medium pin, they'll essentially get stunned briefly instantly. Enemies that have heavy armor, they will get stunned once you reach heavy pin. I'll be showing how it performs against every faction, and there'll be timestamps down below. Let's go and talk about what it does against the bugs. Your best bet is getting a hunter seed, in my experience. Hunters, wilbers, pouncers, warriors aren't too big a hassle to deal with, and if you get decently lucky, you can fend them off and not take too much damage. But when using the weapon in general against chaff, you are using the stim tax weapon of the century. You are almost always going to take damage. Partly because you have a very small hitbox on the chainsaw itself. The other part is you can't keep the blade damage active unless you're hitting something. And when you're hitting something, you're likely sawing into it. That includes dead bodies. Dead bugs. Dead bug sounds way better there. But when hitting dead bugs, the saw will be stuck in them, and it just hinders your time and your uptime on hitting the live bugs that can two-shot you in many cases. They go for head something serious. If you're playing in a 3 to 4 man group, alpha commanders are still bugged and not spawning alpha warriors anywhere near as much as they should, at least in solos and duos. So that won't be too big of a hassle in general. Now, I will say if you get Gloom Strain, Pred Strain, Bile Spewers, and Nursing Spewers, your chaff clear capabilities go down severely with the chainsaw. But hey, it's not built for horde clear on the bugs. Who cares? Talk about the larger enemies. Every charger variant has a downside. For the base charger, the hitbox is not really matching what you see visually. The chainsaw is in its leg, but there is no sawing continually happening, therefore the stun wears off, and it likely kills you instantly. You also have the time to kill being pretty not ideal considering that factor. If you attack from the back, make sure you aim up. Otherwise, the chainsaw won't make contact much, and you'll be wondering why it isn't dying faster. Spore chargers explode, which doesn't play too nice with melee damage, and in most cases, you will likely perish if you try and kill it too closely. On charger behemoths, their hitbox on the leg seems to be better, so you can more consistently saw into them and keep them stunned. It's still not great though. And I tried going for the face and the arms. In both cases, pretty long investment. It looks cool though. Looks freaking sick just to be chopping at the head, and once you're done, it eviscerates. Just poof. Now on impalers, I wouldn't go for the legs. I wouldn't go for any of them. It's not worth it. Because in doing so, it can actually spawn tentacles that kill you. Or ragdoll you. Either way, not ideal. Instead, go for the mouth. You can still get by tentacles. The difference is you'll kill it so much faster. You're not having to saw into armor and strip it and then go for the meat. You're just going for a weak spot that I don't think many folks know exists. So on impalers, when their tentacles are down, or even in general, there's a mouth on the undercarriage. Hit that. They die fast. Bile Titans are likely the second worst enemy for chainsaw, considering their active hurt boxes. They can brush into you when you're in the air on the hoverback and kill you instantaneously. You are packed up with the swiftness because they nudged you. Then you've got their hitboxes. The chainsaw can't latch into them that well, considering they're not that great to begin with, and it moves around too much. It's just not an enemy that was designed anywhere near to be useful for melee. And this also plagues the ability to get on top of them. If you do that, it moves, you die, or take a lot of damage. So what's there to really do? I've gone for the face, which I had to commando it first to get it weak, and then kill it with chainsaw, because trying to kill it with chainsaw alone, brother, I've spent probably 40 minutes combined trying to do that. It's just not worth the time investment. You can hit the back legs when I was doing the multi-stab attack, but that also takes a year and a day. I'm playing on level 4 difficulty to have less enemies, so imagine doing this on a higher difficulty mission. If it's a hassle on this difficulty, brother. And I went for the wagon. Not wise. It moves around a lot, and you can still have the chance of dying instantly because of the active hurt boxes for the torso. The legs killing you if they hit you makes sense. Whatever. But the body, I don't know, brother. You can destroy spore spewers by simply sawing into it. It takes a bit longer than a Shakir Hotel, which the same thing applies. For those, try and get as high as you can to hit towards the top-ish area, maybe the midline. Otherwise, it takes a lot longer to destroy. For automatons, the chaff clear is simply horrendous. You're a lumberjack versus an actual militia, an army. They're going to murder you. And even when you get close to hit them with your melee attack, they can counter-offer with a one-shot stomp, or backhand, or just falcon punch you to the ground and then stomp you. There's occasions where you kill a Devastator and it feels kind of cool, it's saw them in half, but in general, I'd avoid that if you can. On tanks, you have two options. The back, which is the best spot to go for, fastest time to kill. If you can simply sit there sawing it, that seems to be really quick, or you maybe even throw in one slice and then a full-on saw. Or you can go for the sidewall, which you can damage because you got anti-tank, but that will require a lot more time investment. Sometimes, though, that's good considering how the enemies are shooting at you. The tank provides cover while you're slowly killing it. On War Striders, run betwixt the legs and then turn around after you avoid the stomp ragdoll. The radius is pretty big on that. And if you begin sawing at a leg, it can't turn in time before it's stunned. And if you initiate the saw, it dies very kind of fast. Kind of. That's if you get close to begin with. You have to avoid the one-shot, the ragdolls, and various other enemies shooting at you, because the legs on War Striders aren't big. Built like Mike Wazowski if he was taller. On Hulks, the approach is very similar. Get close, avoid a swing, then begin sawing. But recognize where you lie on the totem pole. You're the small spoon in comparison to the Chainsaw Hulk, that's Big Spoon. They will one-shot you most of the time when you're wearing heavy armor and you've even got Vitality Booster. And they swing very quick, and it covers a lot more space than you think. You want to stun those guys. Urgent grenades, stun grenades, something. Or have a teammate that's distracting them, and then you get behind and begin the shaw. If you got two people going for a Hulk, attack the legs. If you both go for them, that seems to be a much faster time to kill compared to a solo person sawing up the middle and aiming for the weak spot. Which, overall, the speed at which you take them out isn't particularly impressive if it's just a one-man show. On Factory Striders, go for the Dimmadome. Break chinny guns and destroy the tank turret on top, which you can chainsaw it, but you don't want to. You'll destroy it, it'll ragdoll you off the high ground, and you take a bunch of damage in the process. Once it has no more defenses to kill you instantly, you hover pack on the face. Normally, it'll lift you on top of itself, which is kind of cool, but you may want to have a little bit of high ground before you hover pack. From there, you chainsaw into the top of its head. And it takes a freaking while to kill it. I've gone for the legs, which most of the time it'll be moving, and you'll be taking damage the entire time it's doing that. I've gone for the undercarriage to hover backpack, and it took more than 2 passes to destroy, and you're taking damage during that time frame as well. This also means you don't really want to use chainsaw on a Factory Strider convoy. It'd be so sick if there weren't these goofy hurt boxes that just kill you, and if the chainsaw did a bit more damage, because then you could simply jump pack betwixt the freaking convoy and kill them. To even do that in the first place, by the way, gotta break all the tank turrets and break all the chinny guns. You don't have to, but it'd be advised in case you mess up and have to get on top of them. So there's so much prep time to try and get like a cool spectacle of a clip, but there's no reward. And you're sliding the entire time you're trying to chainsaw it. You can break fabricators, and when you do, listen for the sound and get out of there as fast as possible. It will ragdoll you into a wall going Mach 11, and if you hit your head, you're dead. It can destroy mortar emplacements and anti-air objectives. You'll get ragdolled in the process, and I believe you take some damage. You can't destroy detector towers or stratagem jammers. You do not have the demo force for those. They require 50. The chainsaw puts out 30 once you've been charging it for about 2 seconds or so. For illuminate, chainsaw is horrendous. You have Voltless throwing hands and feet, beating the brakes off you. You got no range. They just 100 to 0 you if there's about 4 or 5 of them grouped up on you. Beat bobs, you can stun them. But once you break a face, which you'll be doing if you're attacking them, the stun gets broken, and they also beat the brakes off you. If you're not wearing the ragdoll resist armor, you can't dive away. You just basically die. On the no body cam baton overseer, you win the 1v1. Dive forward / they die for the most part. But they can still attack you from range. The crescent overseer can attack you from range, and flying overseers are in the sky. Harvesters. I haven't gone for the legs because I've had a lot of instances of getting killed by it because of the hurt box that doesn't even match what you're seeing. But I have hover packed and broken the joint. If you were to practice it, you can do that in one chainsaw swipe, which is kind of cool. But the investment to do that is a lot. Gotta bring stuns, otherwise it will shock you and insta-kill you in most cases. Then we have Leviathans, the flying whales in the sky. They have a lot of HP, and getting on top of them in the first place is going to be either luck, or you're going to have a whole team dedicate to these shenanigans using the cannon on the mothership mission. Once you're there, if it's just one guy, it's 15,000 HP, I believe. The chainsaw, it's going to be whittling away. It's trying to chop down a tree with a spoon, dang near. You could use thermites and weaken it and then do this. That was my plan after I realized just how long it takes. Because one of the problems with Leviathans is they leave the map. They despawn themselves, another one takes its place. So you can't just sit there hitting the same dude for a while. They leave. Would be pretty cool if they gave us a more consistent way of boarding them, if you will, like lean into it a little bit. Dropships. You break the shield very quickly, but actually destroying it takes a long time. And once you do, I believe it explodes instantly, ragdolling you and sending you far away, probably dealing damage, the whole 9 yards. You can also destroy the Tesla towers for illuminate, so get close to those guys by walking forward, or sprinting forward, laying down to avoid the arc blast, and then chainsaw into it. If you land the full saw after standing up, it will break it before it shocks you. Results may vary. The chainsaw is yet another ceremonial weapon. That's a bummer considering how cool it is, but I believe it could be improved rather easily. Increase durable damage, remove the need for medium pin, make it start at heavy pin, and scale to anti-tank. It's a support weapon, melee. That's already a massive downside. It should not be medium pin. That shouldn't be anywhere in the conversation. And increase the range of it. That way it's more beneficial at the horde clear capabilities and even better at killing larger enemies, in the sense of not having these minor mishaps where the hitboxes get messed up somehow and you can't keep the enemy stunned and then you die. That wouldn't happen as much if you had a longer hitbox on the chainsaw. And to further improve the horde clear, make it to where it's either always active if you're holding the shoot button. That way it's just sawing through the air. You can move your character the way you would with the chainsaw anyway, or have it swing through the air slower. I assume those would be good, those two changes. Don't know for certain. Test it out a little bit, see how it feels. But something. It needs to be good at horde clear and good at killing large enemies, considering what it is. A support weapon that makes you get close to enemies. We have all these detrimental factors already in trying to get close to distance, such as ragdolls. This would be kind of hard to do, but it'd be cool if you could hold right click and that would make the chainsaw go into the air straight up. That way you can saw into charger wagons easier and the undercarriage on factory striders. And if you're crouching or something else you could do to make the chainsaw go straight down. It'd be freaking sick just to have that thing planted into an enemy and sawing into him. Currently gotta lay down and it looks weird. It looks extremely weird. It's not anywhere near as cinematic as it could be. Remove the animation lock for turning off the chainsaw. Dive away and stim, it's delayed because you gotta turn off the chainsaw. Want to switch weapons and shoot something? It's delayed by a little bit for the same reason. And the stimming part is the big deal. You're in melee range, getting ganged up by hunters and whatever else because of the lackluster range of the weapon, and you still can't dive away and stim if you play it correctly because of the lack of speed. I want to bring up the old bug for stun lance, allowing you to bypass the armor on chargers and just hit the inner nougat, which gave you a fast time to kill. This should be applied to chainsaw in some form or fashion. You can improve the chainsaw further and you don't have to buff it directly. Reduce the ragdoll radius of explosions, which is currently set to a Looney Tunes level of insanity for no reason. Could be bugged, it's been bugged for months. And it makes things feel terrible even in ragdoll resist armor. You kill an enemy with whatever you may use, and you get ragdolled from so far away. Buff the muscle enhancement booster to drastically reduce or remove the slow effects from stuns, urchin grenades, and EMS strikes from the players themselves. That way you can stun enemies and not be affected yourself and actually get close and make use of a melee weapon. Because an EMS strike, you toss that down, you can't do anything. By the time you make it to an enemy, you're essentially losing probably half the duration of the EMS strike. 100% increased melee damage armor perks should get removed. They don't serve a purpose, just buff melee weapons by that exact number, and everything is fine. They're not going to be broken OP. You now aren't pigeonholed into armor sets because you want to do more damage with a very niche weapon in a playstyle that is insanely unforgiving. There's no reason that armor should limit your ability to choose different armor perks and make unique builds. Full gas with heavy armor vitality so you don't get affected by the gas and you can hit enemies that are concussed. That's cool. You can't do it unless you want to do 100% less damage. You know what I mean? Buff EMS strikes so direct hits can stun Bile Titans, Factory Striders, and Impalers. And direct hit is muy poquito. It's the projectile, not the huge static field that gets emitted. And that way you can only use it on maybe one Bile Titan, but it's stunned the entire duration, and the chainsaw can get value. Remove the hurt boxes on enemies in certain locations, such as on top of a Factory Strider. Let people do wacky stuff that is just kind of cool and fun. Same thing kind of applies to a Bile Titan. If you manage to get on top of those guys, which would be tough to do in the first place, you shouldn't just die because it moved an inch. And the last thing I believe would be Hover Backpack. Let it hover a bit longer, let you descend when you want to. Both of these would benefit a lot of folks that like Hover Backpack, but also the chainsaw. The longer you hover, the more you can apply damage to enemies in certain wacky ways. I think a different thing would just make it to where you can actually climb more stuff in cities. Like just focus on the parkour a bit more. That's a whole different thing, I guess. And yeah, it's a chainsaw. Cool weapon, but very underbaked in terms of what it can do. It could be improved, and I believe it wouldn't even break anyone's immersion. It would just be a cooler weapon, and folks still wouldn't use it very much because of the investment. In the same way that folks weren't using flamethrowers before. And by the way, a lot of this is just to sort of point out that you're better off using a flamethrower in every way you use the chainsaw. I don't need things to be equal to each other necessarily, but it's hilarious that the one thing that chainsaw should be good at, there's another weapon that isn't meant to do it that is better at it. And that's the flamethrower. A direct damage to a tank, flamethrower. Killing a Factory Strider underneath, or killing a Factory Strider being close range and melee range, flamethrower. Killing Hulks, flamethrower is technically faster. And the list goes on. Lean more towards making the weapons fun, and if it's extremely niche, the playstyle is demanding, like look at the risk and reward, and that should heavily influence how powerful you can make it. But in this case, they held back still, even though the risk is insane. I don't get that. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and have a good day. If you liked the video, subscribe to the OhDough. Huh? Don't show the devs.